What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Wednesday. 9-game slate in the association. It's a big boy slate. Both FanDuel and DraftKings, they cooperated. The exact same slate, the exact same player pool, in part, I imagine, because we have the last game of the night, I'm going to say, is 8:30 on the East Coast. So that's pretty condensed for a 9-gamer. Only game that's national TV, and barely national TV. I don't know if we're going to call it that, but NBA TV, I guess that qualifies. That is the Heat at Dallas. Myself, Kyle Murray. You got us for the first hour and 15 minutes, give or take. We hand it off to TJ Zwarych. You guys know TJ, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Also the Notorious one, Noto, jumping in here. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth will be holding it down. Kyle, 9-gamer. A lot of games, no value. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're liking the lineups you've made or kind of messing around with, but we're all dealing with the same puzzle pieces, the same salaries and all that. I mean, I suppose there's some things that might fall. And a lot of it's early. You know, we're kind of waiting on Jamal Murray. I don't know if there's like one player necessarily that would spike. I was looking at our if-then stuff. Like Joker would get better. Like, great. I still can't afford him. I want to. I want to play him. Peyton Watson, I suppose. Maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. I guess you can make an argument like a revenge Bruce Brown, but it's hard to get excited about the peripheral pieces there. We're not sure about PJ Washington in that late game, as well as Daniel Gafford. I think those two are both still currently questionable, unless I missed an update. Portland is an early game too, 7 o'clock. We might get some Portland news in the back half of a back-to-back. Chris Murray's questionable, Klingon's questionable, as is Danny Avdia. So if Avdia's out, certainly some usage to go around. I do have the back end. It's 3 teams: New York, Portland, the Spurs. Only one team on the front end. That's Brooklyn. Kyle, how are things? Am I correct in assessing that this slate is without value? I don't think we have anybody even close to 6x in lineup HQ, at least not earlier, unless something's changed. We did get Powell rolled out for Miami, but with Hero there, those minutes, and Hawkins is going to step up, and Ware's begging for more minutes. There's plenty of guys to plug it. Drew Smith as well. Yeah, nobody. Not even close. Not even close as far as anybody projecting for 6x tonight. Kyle, how are you? Am I correct, or do you think there's more value that I'm leading on? I don't like the value tonight.
I will say there might be some news. It feels like we have a lot of questionable tags. We have some interesting narratives around Mr. Giannis. So maybe that is something that comes to fruition tonight.
Was he going to get traded in the next 2 hours?
No, but I mean, it's the NBA. You never know. I don't think he'll get traded, but we were talking about it in the Slack, and Knapp said in before we get a Giannis questionable personal on the 5:30 injury report. So like, it's the NBA. Anything can happen. I think even getting these reports on Giannis is crazy enough. So you never really know what can come to fruition there. I mean, you mentioned Hawkins. He's a name that is probably the closest to some good value, but even he's in, the mid tier, I suppose. You do have a couple of other guys questionable across the slate, but you also still have Larson questionable from Miami, and we had him projected to slot in to start for Norm Powell. So if he's ultimately ruled out as well, we'll have some more value popping up there. So, I think that this is an interesting slate because, like you mentioned, we have this big 9-game slate. We typically don't have that because we have any team that starts after 9, it feels like they want to break up into 2 slates, which I know some people certainly don't mind. But when you have all the games starting before 8:30, that 6:30 to 7:30, 8 o'clock window is going to be filled with the news. So it's certainly going to be something that you're going to want to be around for.
For your sake, Kyle, I hope you're not on projections tonight. Are you on projections tonight or somebody else?
It is my off night, so those guys are going to be – those guys got the rough night. I got the good one to get off, I suppose.
And, to my point, also, the optimals that I'm running, we're currently showing Gogo Batadze hitting 30% of the lineups on DK. And there's nothing special about Gogo Batadze. It's just that he's cheap and projected for 18, 19 fantasy points. And I think that's a terrible play. If that's something that's going to if nothing changes and he still projects to be that kind of player, ownership-wise, just a terrible, terrible play. And Drew Smith is also projecting really, really well for Miami. Yeah. And that situation's a little bit murky. But he's not a great fantasy player. He's projected for 19 fantasy points. His situation could improve. Like you said, Pelle Larson is questionable. It's also the late game. You're probably not going to get news anytime soon for that. And again, the other side of that game, PJ Washington is questionable too, but it's just it's tough because I really want to play Joker, especially if Jamal Murray's out. Like Joker's going to score, I don't know, 75 fantasy points, 70 fantasy points. Is that his projection median wise would be mid 60s? I'm guessing. Am I being hyperbolic or is that about right? I think we have an if then. I'm scrolling and getting to it right now. If we happen to lose Jamal Murray, yeah, Joker's DK median projection will be 66, 62 on FanDuel. I mean, that's bonkers. Yeah. But anything else you want to say as far as the slate on a whole? Because we're going to go in and do a little game by game. And some of these games, I think a lot of these games, I'm just not that excited about it. I want you to get me excited about this slate, Kyle, because I have some ideas. We're kind of in a holding pattern on some teams, but it's a lot of meh for me. It's a lot of meh. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of like these kinds of slates because it feels like on the slates where there is obvious value, everybody in the NBA world knows what that value is. So it forces you to get a little bit more creative with some of the potential value options or just get creative with some mid-tier options. And that opens up, a lot of different, lower owned possibilities. So I personally don't mind slates like this. I think they can be interesting. I feel like, yes, it can be a little bit frustrating at times because you don't have the value to fit in all of these elite spend up options that project so well. But I do think it helps with, the current state of NBA DFS is like it's so concentrated because everybody is using projections that are so similar and projections are really good across the industry. So it makes things a little bit more tricky to get unique compared to other sports, especially. So I actually don't mind slates like this.
Yeah, like similar to last night, there's a little bit more value, but I like to get intentionally different. And this Zach Edey was somebody I really liked last night. I got it like single digit ownership and single entry contests because, like you said, people just like their projections. And I kind of look for those separators. I think I had Josh Hart, also my single entry contest. I didn't take anything down. I min cast with that lineup in the show time, but whatever. But I do like that thought process because you use it against the people that are just using straight projections without doing anything different. Just hitting the button, for cash games, whatever. Have at it. Enjoy yourself. I did see the Giannis note you're talking about. Shams out there reporting that his agents started conversations with the Bucks about his future. Resolution expecting in the coming weeks. The tricky part is just how do you trading him is tough because contract wise, and can you get anywhere near what his actual value is? I don't know. But it is something to monitor, something to keep an eye on. And this is his last year in Milwaukee, I think. I'm pretty sure it's his last year. Contractually, is that correct? Does he have one more year? I don't know.
It's either one or two.
All right. But yeah, stay tuned on that. Probably playing tonight, but it is interesting. Maybe he does all of a sudden get a knee out of nowhere or something like that. First game, well, here it is. This is kind of what we're alluding to. Denver versus the Pacers, 237.5. That's the total. Denver is a 7.5 point favorite here. And, this is one of the games where we're waiting for some stuff. We know Gordon's out. We know Brown's out. Joker is on the injury report, but he's probable with his wrist. But the big one, Jamal Murray, legitimately got hurt last game with his ankle. He came back but couldn't stick around the entire game. He had an ankle sprain. He's questionable. I think there's a decent chance he doesn't play. Eastern Conference on the road against the Pacers. I think they give him a day here, but we'll know. If we don't know, crunch time will know because it's a 7:00 game. And Furphy was upgraded to questionable for the Pacers for whatever that's worth. Not a heck of a lot, but maybe he plays a little bit. I don't know what we're projecting for him, but nothing of any consequence, I would imagine. And everything else is the same. We're giving Furphy 7 minutes. There you go, for what it's worth. Yeah, Pacers, Denver, and it's how much do you want Joker? Because right now, at least, it's going to significantly weaken the rest of your lineup, in my opinion. But I love him.
Yeah, I think it does come down to depending on how comfortable you feel with some of the other value options or what you can make work there. But yeah, they're certainly making you pay the piper for that. But again, he does project well, and odds are, if we get some news that looks like it could easily go that way, he could be projecting a lot better. So, and for what it's worth, I have Joker for even more points than across the industry. So, yeah, Jokic does look pretty good right now.
Yeah, I did I was curious to see how many points you're giving up in projection if you lock Joker, my top lineup versus the Joker one, and it's 4 points for what it's worth, and that could change as well if we happen to lose Jamal Murray. He would probably get an extra point and change, give or take. I'm not on the projection team, but I imagine he would get at least an incremental boost, if nothing else. We do have, again, we're not sure what's going to happen, but we'll know because it's a 7 o'clock game. Now, or if Murray is out, Peyton Watson will project for 33 minutes, 32 DK points. THJ, Tim Hardaway, 29 minutes, 23 DK points. Cam Johnson, he's been pretty up and down this year, mostly down, but every once in a while, in theory. Look, Desmond Bane got going. Why can't Cam Johnson get going? I know Desmond Bane's better than Cam Johnson, but similar point. And then Bruce Brown. Do you like any of this nonsense around Joker? If we lose Murray, who's your favorite piece that might step up and beat their projection? You are on mute, sir.
Oh, sorry about that. I had a train going on in the background, per usual. But I think they are nonstop, Ryan. Man, I live right by one, so it does not stop. I have to plan my day around if I want to go outside. But yeah, obviously, if Murray sits, guys like Hardaway, Brown could pick up some extra usage. But you also have to wonder what that actually equates for, because it could easily just be Jokic soaking up all of that, and then obviously Watson as well will benefit. But from a minutes perspective, Bruce Brown would look better. I think Spencer Jones would come into the fold a little bit more. He's been kind of one of those guys that starts but doesn't necessarily get, real true starter minutes. I know he had a lot of run, played like 36, 37 minutes last game, but has not been consistent with that, and he's not a very good per-minute player. Jalen Pickett was a guy last year who we saw at times step up and get big run and actually perform on a permanent basis. So he'd be interesting to see if he gets any sort of real minute projections. But yeah, for the most part, I think it's more so just these guys in the starting lineup that just get a little bit better from missing usage from Jamal Murray.
Pacers. Do we like the Pacers? Anybody in the Pacers are interested in?
I think if you play Jokic, it makes more sense to have some interest there. There are a couple guys that do project okay for me. Nembhard projects pretty well. McConnell projects pretty well. Not playing both of those guys, but McConnell could be one of those players that maybe he's not projecting for a ton of runs, so he might not get a ton of ownership. And I think that's always an interesting spot for a guy like McConnell, who can go out there and if he plays 20 minutes, he could put up 35 DK points and no one would really be all that surprised. So McConnell is a guy who I actually like quite a bit on this slate. And again, I'd probably have more interest in a run back if I'm playing Joker, because again, you just want that game to stay close. I mean, if you take Jamal Murray out of the equation, he's probably worth, I don't know, 1.5 or 2 to the spread. So that game would probably even come a little bit closer there on the spread. So you're probably going to get a closer game regardless. You don't need to play a run back, especially on the larger slate, but it would at least increase my interest if I do play Jokic there.
The Pacers just have so many guys too that just cycle in and play, 15, 20, 22 minutes or so. McConnell last game played like 4 minutes or 6 minutes. It was very, very few minutes. And it was basically because I think it was third and 4 nights or back half of a back-to-back, and coach essentially acknowledged that he might have been getting, McConnell's not young, and it was a victim of the back-to-back stuff. So I would imagine his minutes get boosted back up. Yeah. Like you said, 20 is where we're currently projecting him. I thought he would see a price dip because of last game. We did not. I don't believe he got a price dip at all. He's still 4.8 on DK. Anything else here as far as Denver and the Pacers?
No, not really. I mean, we might get a weird Pacers starting lineup. They've been doing a lot of weird things that have opened up some at least maybe some increased interest in guys like Walker, or maybe if Isaiah Jackson gets back in the starting lineup. So we'll have to see how that lineup comes to fruition there. But they've been doing a lot of weird things. So hard to nail that down currently.
It seems mostly unnecessary to me. It's so fluid as far as what's happening in the game, and it's hard to predict. Like you said, who's going to get the extra few minutes or so. The center stuff, I know Huff's been the guy of late, but we've seen Isaiah Jackson have big games. Bradley might get a little bit more run here. He's a legitimate big dude against Joker. We only project 4 minutes for him. Not saying you play him, but I'm just playing the 240 game, trying to figure out where those minutes are getting delegated. And again, Furphy is back as well. JRE, there's so many guys that can just cycle in, cycle out, and it's hard for me to get excited about any of them. I think Nembhard is actually the second most interesting Nembhard in the slate. I think so.
Possibly.
We'll talk about his brother at some point in the show. Let's scoot along. Game number 2, Spurs. Magic 235.5. That's the total. Orlando is a 9-point home favorite here. Who's in? Who's out for this one? Banchero's still out with his groin. He cannot play with his groin. Franz Wagner, he's got the mask. Nobody cared about Franz Wagner until he put the mask on. He's still playing with that mask. And speaking of Desmond Bane, 37 points in his last 2 games has been spectacular. He is who we thought he was. Stephen Castle still out for the Spurs, as is Wemby. Big deal. No Wemby, no Castle. The prices have adjusted, though. Harry Barnes went off yesterday. Good for him. How do we feel about the Magic and the Spurs? What is popping for us in this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the talk of the town for the Spurs the past few weeks has been these guys who've been benefiting with Castle and Wemby out. I don't really like many of them here in the spot. I've been playing Keldon Johnson in the prop market pretty much every time he's been on the slate. He didn't get there last night, and that was like the first time he didn't have a solid night. And it's just a really bad matchup for these guys. I mean, Orlando's been so good defensively, middle of the pack in terms of pace, but the Spurs also play very slow. So this game does have a 236 and a half total, which I thought was really high considering how good both teams are defensively and how slow they both play. So my interest would be, I mean, I think Harrison Barnes is fine on FanDuel. He's 4-5. I think he's pretty underpriced there, so I think he's okay. But for me, mostly going to be on the Orlando side. You mentioned Goga. I would agree in having not too much interest there if he's going to be popular. But if it's one of those things where, we have him projected okay, but maybe the field isn't going to necessarily get there, I think he's fine for the price at 3.5 on DraftKings. But again, I totally agree with you where if he is going to be popular, not a ton of interest there. Anthony Black's been playing well with these guys out. Same with Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs' price is now up. He's 7.2 on DraftKings for a while there. He was in the mid-5s and projecting pretty much the same for like mid to upper 30s in points. So, he's priced to a point where he's like more so appropriately priced here, but still think he's fine. Desmond Bane has finally got going a little bit over the past couple weeks with Paolo out. So if I had to rank these guys, I'd probably be looking at hopefully at lower ownership. Gogo would be my favorite on DraftKings, but then it would be Anthony Black, Desmond Bane, and then Jalen Suggs for me.
Yeah, I like Bane a good bit tonight. I'm buying, obviously he's not going to score 37 points every single night, but I assume like the first 15 games, whatever it was, just kind of adjusting to a new team, kind of figuring stuff out. The usage has been up more so of late. Banchero's still out with his groin. I just trust that Bane is feeling more comfortable, and the Spurs defense is weakened with the absence of Wemby. The minutes have been really, really strong for Bane, 34, 39 the last couple. I know, and what's keeping him down as far as ownership is the price. He was almost in the 5Ks. He was, 6-1 on DK just a few weeks ago. I feel like he might have been in the 5s on FanDuel or hovering around the 5s on FanDuel. Yeah, and now it's 7-9, but I think that's kind of adjusted. I think that's kind of fair, 7-8. So he's in my pool of players that I'm considering as like a separator in the hopes he drops another, 50 plus tonight, fantasy points. Anything else as far as San Antonio, Orlando?
No, I think that covers it for me.
What's going on in chat? Did we officially say hello to chat? Hi, chat. Hit that like button, please. Subscribe while you're at it. Turn on notifications so we go live. Do all those things. I see TJ hanging out there. He's warming up in the bullpen. He'll be on about an hour or so. Tasteful Times hanging out as well. All right. Anything of notes going on in the chat? Not really seeing anything. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on anything. Any questions if you have, by all means, especially if it's pertinent to the conversation, happy to answer those. But J3 is saying TJ is very mean for a Canadian. Oh, wow. He's got it's high standards. Yeah, you've been to Canada. Of course you've been to Canada. You're from Michigan. I imagine you've been to Canada before?
I actually haven't.
What?
I get made fun of it a lot, but I've never been.
Detroit, like you could see Canada from Detroit.
Yeah, I could literally swim there, but
okay.
I have not.
I mean, not even like, I guess not even at all, but like when you were 18, 19, 20, if you're thirsty, you can go over to Canada. Your friends maybe did that at some point.
Yeah, that was always the thing, at 19, you can go over there and,
yeah.
But no, I've never done it. I'm just such an angel, I've never done anything wrong in my life. So I've never gone, seeking out underage drinking. I guess there wouldn't be underage, but, never been hopping borders to drink.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember having a road trip and I think we actually stayed in Windsor, if I'm not mistaken. I don't recall, but bouncing back and forth between Windsor in Detroit. We saw the Tigers many years ago. But all right, let's talk about and shout out to your Pistons, by the way. The Pistons are fun now. I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah.
They're on the come up. Portland and Cleveland, the last of the 7 o'clock games, another game that has some injury news that we are waiting for that could be pertinent. 240.5 is the total. It's a pretty big boy total. Portland back half of a back-to-back, and they are traveling. So that's why we have a pretty big gap as far as the spread, about 11 or 12 injuries. Portland, this could be a big deal. Denny Avdia, he's got an ankle, so he's questionable. Klingon, he's questionable with the leg. Chris Murray's questionable. Scoot is out. Holiday is out. And back half of back-to-back. So Time Lord, no Robert Williams. Do we believe these guys are actually hurt, or it's just like they're trying to set – they might just punt this game off? I feel like they might just punt this game off because scheduled blowout, back half of a back-to-back. And I don't know. What are all these guys are really dealing with something? You tell me. What is your assessment? What are we expecting? Do we think these guys are going to – I feel like they either all play or none of them play. Is sort of my general thought. They're just deciding if they want to punt the game or not.
Yeah, I tend to think that NBA teams have their spots where they like to punt, but I also think there's like a little bit of a psychology thing of maybe. I mean, Pop used to talk about this all the time. Greg Popovich would say he would either list a bunch of guys questionable or just sit a bunch of guys and then actually be optimistic about their chances because of the fact that the team would let their guard down or whatever. I don't know how much that actually can be put into practice, but he is one of the better NBA coaches of all time, and he was a big proponent of that. So I don't know. I feel like it's probably not super likely that all these guys are actually dealing with something that would like odds are if this game mattered, truly mattered, and it was a playoff game or something like that, they're probably not sitting. But I do think that they do pick and choose their times to give these guys nights off. Obviously, they're on the second half of a back-to-back. Tough matchup against Cleveland. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys sit or maybe be a little bit limited there with some of their playing time.
Pop, is Pop credited with starting tanking? I feel like he's the guy I think of. He was the first one to do the mass sitting out of players. If not Pop, who would it be? I think it's Pop.
It would either be Pop or it would be blanking on his name. The Philly president of basketball operations that ended up going to Houston. The trust the process guy.
Oh God, why can't I think of his name? Was he ever the coach or that was his manager?
No, he was just GM or whatever basketball.
Daryl Morey.
Yeah, Morey. Yeah, it'd be one of those two, I would guess.
Yeah, and they've had success. Pop had a lot of, so you can't really argue against it. But I don't know if it really helps the product per se. I understand why it's happening. Furphy, by the way, officially in for those that care. Furphy and his 7 minutes, give or take, available to play for the Pacers. Oh, I didn't give you Cleveland. Cleveland, Jared Allen still dealing with that finger. Lonzo Ball he had the fish. He was ill, so he missed last game. It wasn't back-to-back related. He's good to go tonight. He's probable. Nance is still out. Strus we haven't seen all season long. Sam Merrill is still out. But getting a little bit healthier, I guess, Cleveland, because we do have Lonzo Ball back, and we have Darius Garland back for Cleveland. Hey, we talk a lot of fantasy, Kyle, and I think, not that it matters, we just care about fantasy points. I think Jalen Tyson might actually be good. Is he actually good? Is he kind of good?
I mean, yeah, he looks pretty good. I mean, it's nice because he gets to play around such a good team, and it's like one of those things where, like for OKC, right? They have 12 guys. You're like, wow, these guys are all amazing. Like you draft AJ Mitchell in the second round, and then he ends up looking like an all-star caliber player. And maybe he is, but maybe he's just kind of a product of the system there. So it's always tough to truly gauge that when the player is in such a good position. I think sometimes it's like a quarterback, right, who's on a bad team. It's how do you really know? It's Sam Darnold, for example. So I think he probably is not bad for sure, but he might be a good player, but he also might be in just a really good spot as well.
Like if AJ Mitchell was drafted by the Kings, we probably wouldn't be talking about AJ Mitchell.
Correct.
Being good.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. How do we feel about Cleveland and Portland? And I guess a lot of it is just sort of trying to figure out who's going to be left standing for the Blazers because they could be without a lot of players. There's a chance that we lose Klingon. There's no Williams, so maybe Jeremy Grant plays a bunch of it. They got to get big against Cleveland. I was thinking about Duop Reith as a full-on punt. I don't know how much he can play, but he's one of those like good fantasy player, but I don't think he's actually good. But we just don't care. We just want fantasy points. Caleb Love's another guy that probably could benefit. I think we have an if-then set up. I shouldn't be doing this off the dome. Well, I think we have it where they're all ruled out. Yeah, so if they're all ruled out, Grant would look great. Love would project well. Tamani Kamara, who's like a legitimately good player, really good defensively. Reith would give 24 minutes to. He'd be kind of interesting. Hansen is another guy who would probably project okay if everybody's out. How do you feel about the, I guess, best we can do at this point, Cleveland and Portland?
Yeah, I think obviously Portland could really shift around for sure if we get all these guys out. I do agree. Like Caleb Love would probably be one of the better values on the slate, if not the best value on the slate. Also, certainly be very popular. Jeremy Grant would look even better. Kamara is one of those guys that, yeah, sure, he would look better, but he's probably not going to gain more minutes because the game's probably not going to go, not going to go well for Portland, and he's not a great permanent guy. So he'd be one of those guys that I would be maybe interested in fading. Reith, like you mentioned, he'd probably be a mid-20s minutes guy. A guy that I would love to play is Jan Hansen, who we haven't really seen get extended run. This could be one of the spots where they're forced to play him, and especially if the game goes sideways, maybe they're like, all right, perfect development minute time for Hansen. So he would be a guy that I would be like excited to play. We haven't really, again, seen a great sample of what he can do on a permanent basis right now. I think I have him as a 0.9 DraftKings point per minute player, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's a guy who can really fill up the stat sheet kind of top to bottom. So if these guys are all out, he'd probably be my favorite play here outside of maybe Caleb Love.
Yeah, Hansen is a project for sure. 0.86 minutes so far this season on DK, but like they're trying to figure it out. And like you said, he's only played 75 minutes. All that is garbage time. I don't think he's played any meaningful minutes. Actually, he might have played a few meaningful minutes to start the season, if I remember correctly. But basically, he's been mopping up. Cavs. How do you feel about the Cavaliers tonight?
The Cavs. For me, it's tough, obviously, getting all these guys back. Well, not all of them. Jared Allen and Sam Merrill still out, but, Garland's going to be back here. Lonzo Ball's going to be back. And then, again, with the current spread being 11.5 and maybe even getting worse, it gets a little bit more difficult to make a strong case for some of these guys because, you probably need extended run from guys like Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley to pay off. There's just a lot of good guys, like a good spend-up range here from this 8.5 to 10K range. So Donovan Mitchell certainly could be in that conversation. Portland is a team that plays fast. But again, if he's going to be playing 28, 29 minutes because of blowout, might be a little bit more of a stretch to consider him there. So he's one of those guys that I think you can make a case for on this slate that does get pretty wide open with lack of value. But when you consider the real blowout risk in this game, I'm not overly excited about him.
Clippers and the Hawks, Kyle, 226.5 is the total. I got to tell you, I was a little bit surprised by this total. I thought Atlanta would be a little bit bigger favorite, just how down bad the Clippers are these days. The organization, I don't know if you saw the tweets about Chris Paul. He's out forever, at least on the Clippers. Does he latch on somewhere else? Is there a team that can actually use him where he would go that would matter? Like, he's not going to go to a terrible team, I wouldn't think, just to stick around. But is there a relevant team that would sign Chris Paul?
Sign him, maybe. Play him, probably not. Hopefully, a team doesn't need. And Chris Paul is, no offense to him, but he just doesn't have it anymore. I feel like the logical spot would be to go hang out with his buddy LeBron James and maybe try to chase a ring there. But I don't know if they need him with Luka and Austin Reeves there. But maybe a little bit of mentorship there for any of those young Lakers players. So maybe that's a fit.
Who would he mentor? Who's the young up and comer?
I mean, Luka and Reeves are technically still young. I'm sure they can learn a lot from Chris Paul. But I don't think he's going anywhere that is a team that doesn't have a chance to win a ring. And obviously him and LeBron are besties. So that would probably be the first spot I would consider. But yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere to make an impact.
Yeah. So in the chat, they say go to OKC. And that would be a way, like, you can get a cheap ring, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I mean, he would go there and literally, he might as well just go there and be a coach. Like,
he wouldn't do anything there. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. Like you mentioned, AJ Mitchell is so much better than Chris Paul is right now.
I mean, if he can't get minutes on the Clippers, he's not getting minutes that matter anywhere. So
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know why they would sign him outside of like just giving him a ring, I suppose, or like be like a coach on the bench essentially.
Yeah, it'd be like the Udonis Haslem.
Yeah, like that's what Haslem was for Miami, like his last 3 years or so, probably even more. And he was great. Like he was good locker room guy. But yeah, Chris Paul is gone from the Clippers. He's no longer playing basketball for them ever again. Bradley Beal not playing for them this season as well. Also out is DJJ. That's Eric Jones Jr. Nothing else has changed. Bogdanovich is still out. For Atlanta, not sure when we're getting Trae Young, but no Trae Young, of course, tonight. Porzingis, the zinger. I hope this isn't what happened last year. He's ill again, I think, for like the third or fourth straight game. And remember last season, in the playoffs, he was sick for a while. I don't know. It was very murky as far as what it was. Yeah. Hopefully he's okay. But I think is this like 3 or 4 games now where he's been out with illness? I feel like it has been. It's all been illness.
This will be at least the 4th one.
Yeah. Hopefully he's going to be fine soon enough. Otherwise, nobody else of importance as far as active and inactive for Atlanta. How do we feel about the Clippers? This feels like a really good game against Atlanta. I just am I right to say, and like Vegas knows more than I do, right? Shouldn't this game be more than 3.5 points or 3 points? Am I wrong to say? I feel like Atlanta's better than the Clippers. They're at home. Yeah. Harden in Atlanta. Who knows what kind of shenanigans he was up to last night? But yeah. Oh, they were also stuck on the tarmac for hours too. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That was in Miami, I believe. But yeah, how do you feel about Atlanta and the Clippers?
Yeah, I mean, the Clippers have been one of the worst teams against the spread in the NBA, but they also were missing Kawhi for a while. So he's going to be worth 3.5 points to this team on the spread probably. So that's probably where the big disconnect is there with the maybe the public sentiment of this team and like where Vegas actually prices this team at. But nonetheless, I would tend to agree. I think that this Atlanta team is probably the better squad top to bottom. But from a DFS perspective, there are a couple of options that I like. On FanDuel, you have a couple of guys who are a bit underpriced. Alexander Walker feels a little bit cheaper in slate context there on FanDuel. Same with Chris Dunn at 4.5. So there's a couple of guys on both sides. I don't think there's any like elite standout plays. I would say those two probably are the guys that I'm getting to the most. Kawhi at 8.1 does feel a little bit. I think he's certainly in play. I don't think he's a must play in this spot, but definitely at least in consideration there. Feeling better about his minutes. He got a slight bump earlier in that last game. So I think he could potentially play 31, 32 minutes here. He played 30 last game. So first game over that 30-minute mark, which is always nice to see. And the usage has just been massive since coming back. On 11/23 when he returned, since then he's played 6 games, 33, 32, 42, 37, 34% usage. He scored 30-plus points in each of the last 3 games, with peripheral stats being put up as well. So, yeah, Kawhi, I think, is a guy who does make quite a bit of sense and probably isn't going to be a super popular option because of that, maybe that somewhat minutes restriction there. So Kawhi is the guy I'm looking at here.
There is one team in the West, Kyle, that has less wins than the Clippers. The lowly Pelicans. Otherwise, they have the same amount of wins as the Kings. The Mavs have 7 wins. Dallas have 7. Clippers have 5. You know how many wins the Clippers have since November 1st? A whole month ago? And plus a couple days? 1.
Yeah.
1 win. They are down. And Atlanta's like a good team. They're pretty good. I think they're a pretty good team. But can you tell that I bet Atlanta and I'm ready to lose my bet? I think it was 3, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like enough. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. No help here, but Jamal Murray is a game time decision. Thank you for nothing. Denver, that is not helpful in any possible way. Zinger's out and Trae Young's out. I don't think Trae Young's that good. So I don't know how much of a negative it is that Trae Young's out.
The way Jalen Johnson and NAW are playing behind him, I don't think they're missing out on much right now. So I don't know. Obviously Trae Young is a good player, but like, is he worth that much to a spread? I probably would say not that much considering how well, especially Jalen Johnson's been playing.
He's not even like a great 3-point shooter. If you look at his 3-point stats, like, he's not amazing. I know he hits from the logo sometimes, but overall, and of course his defense is terrible. I saw people talking about like Giannis possibly going to Atlanta, and like Atlanta would love to give him Trae Young and some other pieces. Whatever. I don't think he's signed long-term either, right? He's got another year or so maybe. All right.
Yes, you're not getting him without giving him Jalen Johnson too. So it'd be Trae, Jalen Johnson, all the picks in the world probably. So
you got to keep Jalen Johnson. Give him everybody else. You got to keep Jalen. I don't know. Producer Steve is showing how he feels about Trae Young. I do like that he leans into being the heel, like he's gone to Madison Square Garden, like wrestling event. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
And he does like heel moves and like he's like hanging out with the bad guys and beating up the good guy. So I can appreciate that. Pretty funny stuff. Okay. Clippers, Atlanta. You mentioned some pieces. Okongwu, I think, is one of the best plays in the slate without Zinger. I like him a good bit. I like the fact you can play him at power forward on FanDuel. Do appreciate that. Dyson Daniels, I think, is one of the better plays as well when you consider salary. Especially, I think he's 7-1 on FanDuel. I do like that a good bit. So this is my favorite game in the slate? 1 or 1A as far as my favorite games is Clippers, Atlanta. And I'm just going to trust Vegas knows that the Clippers, despite, the organization falling apart, they're going to somehow find a way to keep it close. And I do like, you said Leonard, the minutes have been up. I think we're projecting 31. We've seen it steadily climb, right? 26, 28, 29, 29, 30, 31, 32, 31, 32. Sure. And you're getting a bit of a discount in the price as well. Do you have a lean as far as Harden and Kawhi?
Like if they play or not?
No. Like which one do you prefer? One of the guys.
I prefer Kawhi. I think price wise on DraftKings, I prefer Kawhi. On FanDuel, I think it's closer. I still prefer Kawhi slightly, but it's more of a question over there. But DraftKings, yeah, it's Kawhi.
All right. And yeah, Jalen Johnson, like he's 10K, but I think he's earned it. I think he's legit. I think he's very, very good. And I'm probably going to have a game stack of this one, 2-1, 2-2, something like that. But you got to, this is where my salary is going to go. This means I can't get Joker. I don't think I can get Joker. Stay tuned. We'll try our best, but unlikely. Anything else as far as Clippers and Atlanta?
No, I mean, I know we've kind of gassed up Jalen Johnson quite a bit. He's pretty expensive now, but I mean, he's just been so productive. I don't love the spot for him. The matchup's not good, but I can't say you shouldn't play him. So I just wanted to at least throw his name in the conversation there because I would hate to overlook Jalen Johnson on the slate.
We're currently projecting 10% on DK for Jalen, 10-1, about a 50 fantasy point projection, median projection. What is his number on FanDuel? I imagine it's something similar. 10-2 on FanDuel, 13%. Yeah, 13% ownership. Okongwu, 40% rostered on FanDuel. I talked about that multi-position eligibility, the lack of the zinger, so he's going to play 34 minutes or so. I don't mind Zubac either. Just you gotta pay for him, and I like a lot of centers tonight. He's in the mix for me, but if it happens to that's the money I have left and at that position, and I'm building a little bit of a stack in that game for sure, I'll play Zubac as well. Okay, we're done. Clippers, Hawks, yes.
Yep, we're good.
Do want to mention, we talked about this yesterday, a couple days ago. Missouri has passed sports betting. Be sure to get here in the YouTube as far as the description. In the description, you get all the best promo codes that we have available currently for Missouri. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but Kyle, maybe you can speak to this. I'm in a state in Florida where all I have is the monopoly outside of things, that I'm trying to think of the official term with Kalshi, like things like that. But we just have the Hard Rock. In Michigan, I'm pretty sure you have 4, 5, 6, 7 different books. And even if you're not going to consistently play on those books, just take advantage of the promo codes while you can take advantage of the promo codes. And some of them are really good. I don't want to list them down, but again, get that the description on the YouTube. And it's bet $5, get $300 bonus bets, depending on the site. And I personally would, even on vacation, Kyle, I went on vacation to a different state, just sign up for all of them and just, as much as you can take advantage of as far as those bonus bets. But yeah, if you're in Missouri and if you've not yet signed up for all the sites, get in the YouTube description. We have all of them listed for you, and make some deposits and get yourself. It's really hard to not be in the positive after all the deposits. You have to really trying to do bad things. But there you go. Next game is the Hornets. The Hornets in New York. 235.5 is the total. New York is on the back half of a back-to-back. Producer Steve's very excited about his Knicks. I believe they lost yesterday to Boston. They got to bounce back tonight, despite coming off they had a big first quarter, if I'm not mistaken, in Boston.
I said they were going to lose last night, and they suck on back-to-backs. So
we like the Hornets tonight?
Yeah.
But the Hornets stink.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Who's in and who's out for this one? Well, for New York, it's like not changed. I feel like New York has had the same. Well, back half, back-to-back, you lose Mitch Rob. Mitch Rob is out tonight. They got to manage his legs. OG Anunoby's still out with his hamstring. And Landry Shamet, we haven't seen him for a while with his shoulder. Charlotte, LaMelo's on the injury report, officially is probable with his wrist. Trey Mann is still out with his ankle. Brandon Miller was scratched last game. I shouldn't say scratched, but kind of out of nowhere. He was ruled out. He's still out with his ankle. Nothing else really of note. Yeah, we're waiting for LaMelo's minutes to climb up a little bit too. His price is kind of down. Not necessarily the greatest matchup here, but it is interesting to see him at this price. I think we would have got like 30 or 31 if that game didn't blow out last time I was looking at it. I think he had like a minute and a half on the bone as far as the fourth quarter. If he would have played if he would have played to the bell, but the game dictated he didn't have to. Kyle, New York. Brunson looks good. Cat looks good. A little bit concerned about the back-to-back. Just a little bit, not really, but a little bit concerned about the potential blowout. And you got to get your star right tonight. Do they have the potential to just, be a separator at their price point against their peers? How do you feel about the Hornets and the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Charlotte with no Brandon Miller, still not expecting a ton of run for LaMelo Ball, which is a bummer because his rates do look pretty good with no Brandon Miller, dating back to the trade deadline of last year, which is kind of the sample that I like to look at this point of the year. Obviously, you do have a couple of changes, adding Knipple in the draft and a couple other ancillary pieces as well. But I think it's probably difficult to take a stab there on the LaMelo Ball at the price that he's at. But so I'm not getting too curious with any of these Charlotte guys. If I were, it'd probably be him or Knipple. I guess you could also take a shot on a guy like Kalkbrenner, whose minutes have been consistent. They haven't been, massive. He rarely is playing, 29, 30 plus minutes. But if you're going to get 25 to 27 minutes from him, his point per minute does go up with Brandon Miller off the floor. So at 4-3 on DraftKings, he's a guy you can take a shot at, although it's not a great matchup for him here. But on the other side, I think it may be a case for a lot of these Knicks players, especially if this game does stay close. I mean, I know Steve is pessimistic about New York tonight. So if this is a game that is close and these guys do play big minutes, right now you can project 5 guys in this starting lineup, especially with Mitch Rob out and obviously OG out for 33 plus minutes pretty easily if this game stays close. And for that reason, I think all 5 of the starters are firmly in play. Even a guy like McCall Bridges, who I haven't played much this year, he's in play. He projects as an over 1 per minute guy. Josh Hart has been incredible since re-entering the starting lineup, so he's in play. Also, kind of in that price range on FanDuel at 7.5, where I don't think many people are going to look at him. So I think he's in play as well. Miles McBride at 33, 34 minutes there in the sub 5K range on FanDuel and 5.4 on DK. All these guys are in play. It's more so about how many of them you want to play and how you're going to play them. I'm probably only playing one of them because it's a big slate, but all these guys I think are pretty solid options tonight.
On FanDuel specifically, Kyle, FanDuel, we have is that the Rizzler? Yeah. I'm disappointed in myself that I know who that is. Like, well, I shouldn't know who that kid is, but I can't help it. It just at some point it's gonna be in my face enough where I'm like, who's this guy?
There's so many things that like you don't know, but that's impressive that you or not impressive that you know that.
We should play a game, Steve. You can ask me, like, see how old I am. Do I know this? Like, so we were talking pre-show about Steve's Spotify. I guess today they released like the top 5 what you played, and SoundCloud. And I was asking Steve over under number of bands or artists that I would know, and under a half was his projection, and it's probably true. You can feel free to ask him. We didn't run him down, but I'm assuming you know it's probably a half. But yeah, I don't want to know about the Costco guys. They're actually not far from me. They're base. They're from Boca, I believe, which isn't.
Go hang out with them.
I mean, Are they still doing the thing with the cookies? Do people still care about is that over 15 minutes?
The one thing I've learned, they don't, people who get viral for their 15 seconds or 15 minutes on TikTok, they don't let the bits die. So I'm sure they're out there doing it somewhere.
they're remixing the Boom song. Good for them. I wish them the best of luck. All right. I got derailed by the Rizzler, but and he wasn't even doing the thing. He was the GIF. That's the one thing he does is one move, right? With the touching of the touching of the chin. Isn't that his big move? I think it's his big move at least. Yeah.
Let's see it, Dean. Go ahead.
Well, I was kind of.
No. That's what the people want. Let's see it.
I kind of sort of did it, and then I'm not selling it. I got to fully commit. I wasn't doing a good job. I did want to mention McBride. I don't know if you see this, Kyle. McBride on FanDuel, current ownership for McBride. Now it's a good price, 4.9. It's like almost $500 cheaper than DK. 40% on FanDuel for McBride. And again, that kind of speaks to the overarching. That's not. Hold on a second. I don't know who that is. That's not. I know that's not the Rizzler. That looks like a wrestler or something, but I don't recognize that person. Do we know who that was, Kyle? Am I too unhip to not know, or do people?
No, I think that's just a meme.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was AI.
It was just a filter on some guy.
Okay, I didn't recognize that person. So is McBride, assuming it doesn't change? Steve's having too much fun now. Assuming it doesn't change, 40% McBride on FanDuel, is that good chalk or bad chalk?
I mean, it's really hard to say it's bad chalk because there's not many players in this range that are going to play 33 plus minutes. So I can't say I hate it if you want to play him to open up some value, but I also don't mind, getting a little bit spicy and going outside of your comfort zone to find a guy maybe as a pivot in that range. What site you say it was that?
That was FanDuel. Yeah, FanDuel is 40%. Because he's $400 or $500 cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DK.
Yeah.
On DK, he's not nearly that much. We're talking 14%. Most popular player in this game at 5.4. Pretty reliant on scoring. He's kind of got to score to get there.
Yeah.
But general rules, I don't like players that are reliant on scoring that are going to be popular. General rules. But I also understand why he's hitting. Yeah. I'm probably with you. I'm probably not playing more than one Nick on one lineup, but like for sure, Cat can get there. Brunson can get there. And the minutes are projected pretty healthy. It's the back half of back-to-back, so maybe they get a little bit quicker hook if the game gets ugly for New York. But according to Steve, the Hornets are going to win. So maybe it gets ugly the other way. Maybe they're down by 20. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Anything else as far as New York and Charlotte?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, maybe if you wanted to sell yourself the blowout narrative, you can maybe talk yourself into some of these guys, but I don't know if you can really make that case just because New York will play their starters minutes a good amount anyway.
The Bulls are home to the Nets. 232.5 is the total. Chicago's an 8-point favorite. I got to tell you, I've never seen an injury report this long, I don't think. Not this time of year. Maybe like the last couple of days of the season. But, we know ones that are important, I suppose. Herter is officially out for Chicago. Midday downgrade for Trey Jones. That feels like that matters. Julian Phillips is probable. Jalen Smith, backup center, is questionable with a hamstring. DeLon Terry's questionable with a calf. He doesn't really matter. Kobe White's a big deal. He's out with a calf. Patrick Williams on the injury report. He's probable with his wrist. Zach Collins. Have we seen Zach Collins all year? I feel like we haven't. If we have, I missed it. Has he played this year, Zach Collins? He's questionable.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so maybe he makes his debut tonight. But like if Collins doesn't go and if Smith doesn't go, they're going to be pretty thin as far as the bigs. I don't know if we're going to – maybe Vukovic just plays like 35 minutes or so, which is a pretty interesting play. As far as Brooklyn, They don't have much going on, nothing new. Cam Thomas still out, and we haven't seen Haywood Highsmith all season long. Michael Porter Jr. taking a ton of shots in the absence of Cam Thomas. How do you feel about best we can do here, but Chicago could get murky, possibly. Herter being out, if Trey Jones is out. Julian Phillips, I was thinking he might be 3K. He's 3.5? Is that FanDuel? He's 3.5? Okay. Bulls, Nets, your assessment.
I think obviously a lot of news on Chicago currently. In the current state of things, I like Trey Jones. I like Io. Giddey's tough. I think he's fine, but there's a lot of competition in that price range. Right now, Jones and Io DeSumo are my two favorite plays from the team. If Trey Jones is out, that's even better for DeSumo. I like Jalen Smith in this spot. It's a really good matchup for him here. Only have him for like 17, 18 minutes, I think. But again, on a slate that's pretty starved with value on FanDuel, you can play him at 4-2. I don't mind it. A little bit more difficult to make the case on DraftKings, but nonetheless, still an option for me on FanDuel. On the other side, Claxton projects really well for me. Michael Porter has been fantastic this year with Cam Thomas off the floor. His rates have been up across the board, not even just scoring. I mean, his scoring numbers have been really good. He's averaging, so far this season with Mann and Cam Thomas off the floor, he's averaging like 0.85 points per minute. So if he's going to play 34 minutes, he's probably going to score 30 points. And then his rebound and assist numbers have been really good as well. So he looks really good in this pace-up spot. I mean, Chicago is an elite matchup. They're second in pace, 24th in defensive efficiency. So a lot of really good things here for the matchup for the Nets. So Porter, Claxton, I like. Igor Demine was a guy that I was pretty high on over the past couple of weeks here with him re-entering the starting lineup, and obviously Cam Thomas out. I think he's probably still not going to be a guy that's going to play 30-plus minutes all that often. They've been pretty careful about him, but if he's going to play 28 or 29 minutes, I feel better about that projection with Mann out as well as Cam Thomas. So he's a guy that I do have some interest in. Clowney has also been good. Priced up a little bit more on FanDuel, so don't like him as much there, but he's also in play. And then, I guess a dart throw value option is Daron Sharp, who we know whenever he's on the floor, he's usually pretty productive. Only going to play probably like 16 to 18 minutes. So if you're going to project him for like 17 minutes here, 16, 17 minutes in this spot, you're probably feeling really good if he puts up 20 plus. But again, on a slate with not a ton of value, he's a guy that you could maybe take a shot on. And again, value might open up. So this is like just the current state of the slate, but he's a guy that I do have some interest in as a value option.
This was my second favorite game on the slate. I talked about, as far as the game stack. I'll talk about Claxton in a second. He's one of my favorite plays on the board, and that's no surprise. It's pretty chalky. Actually, I'll just tell you about Claxton as far as what I wrote about him earlier today. So the Bulls give up the most points in the paint in all basketball per game. Claxton, 69% of his points come from the paint. The Bulls they give up the seventh most steals as far as stocks. They also, I think they're the most blocked team in the league. So they're a great opponent for stocks. It's hard to predict when you're going to catch that upside, but this is a good spot to catch it. I think it's I was messing around like last 9 or last 10 games. You talk about the Bulls being the second fastest team in basketball. Last 9 or 10, I can't remember what the cutoff was. Fastest team, actually faster than Miami. So they have been flying. Claxton looks awesome. You mentioned Yeoman. I think he's not as popular as he was the other day. Yegor Yeoman. He looks like a perfectly fine player in the mid-tier. If Trey Jones plays, he's fine. But I think DeSumo looks like the best mid-tier play on the slate as far as guys that are like in the 5K area. His minutes feel really secure, especially if we lose Trey Jones. Herter being out and Kobe White being out. DeSumo seems really, really well positioned. Brooklyn, I believe, last I checked, the worst defensive rating in basketball. Have I checked that today? I'm not sure. I can just keep saying words as I try to pull it up. Is it still the worst? I believe they're still the worst.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. And I like Vuk as well, especially if we lose Jalen Smith, if the bigs behind him are out, but you think he's still fine in his 32 minutes or so. It's just pretty tricky because center is loaded. I like Claxton more than Vuk in this game. And you mentioned Porter. Like Porter can score 40 points in the bucket here against Chicago. He's got to score, though. He's definitely got to score here. He's probably going to put up 30 plus, but he certainly can. But for me, like I like that Clipper Atlanta game, and I like Brooklyn and Chicago. Those are my two favorite games on the slate. Anything else? Is that Paul Pierce? What are we doing here? Is that bad Brooklyn defense? What did Steve type in to get that GIF? I don't remember this GIF. I've never seen it before, but that's Paul Pierce wearing he's a blindfold essentially, right? A headband that's down to his eyes. Was that Pierce? I think it was Pierce.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
What's the most memorable Paul Pierce moment for you in his Brooklyn tenure?
Oh, was it Brooklyn? I thought you were going to ask the
pooping.
Obviously that was an easy. But Brooklyn tenure, I mean, shit, probably him just getting traded there. After that, I couldn't tell you a damn thing that happened with him in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else here as far as Brooklyn and Chicago? We have 3 more games of crunch time coming in about 10 to 15 minutes. Do subscribe if you guys are hanging out there in the chat, and turn on those notifications so you know if we go live or when we go live. We appreciate all that. Crunch time 15 minutes. I believe it's TJ, and it hasn't changed. It's TJ, Noto, and Roth hanging out in that bullpen. We have 3 more games to go. This is the start of the 8 o'clock games. No, Chicago and Brooklyn. That's 8 o'clock as well. Sacramento and Houston, another team that's down bad, the Kings. Terrible organization. 230.5 is the total. Houston, big boy favorite. I believe they're the biggest favorite on the board. 16-point favorites tonight. As far as who's in and who's out for this one, Monk is expected to be available. He's probable with his shoulder. Domantas Sabonis still has that. No, it's not the rib. He's got a knee. He's dealing with a knee. Dennis Schroeder is questionable. Sabonis is out, as he has been. And as far as Houston, Steven Adams officially questionable with his ankle. I thought it was just a back-to-back thing, but maybe not. Last time he was ruled out. Tari Easton's still out as well with his oblique. And DFS, I don't think we've seen DFS all season long. I'm pretty sure we've not seen Dorian Finney-Smith. This is another one like potential blowout, but certainly Amen should be good. KD should be good. Şengün should be good, especially if there's no Steven Adams. How do we feel about the Rockets and the Kings?
You probably have to pay me to play anybody on the Kings. I have no interest there. I mean, they are going to get blown out. They're not going to keep this game close. 15.5 point spread. So, not optimistic about anybody there, even with Sabonis out. I mean, it takes Sabonis off the floor, and like DeRozan's points go up, Westbrook's rebound and assists go up, but like Westbrook's minutes are sort of down right now, especially if Schroeder does end up returning. So, not playing anybody on the Kings. For Houston, again, like it's also fairly tough because if these guys are going to lose out on 4 or 5 plus minutes, it's going to be pretty tough for them to get there. Reed Shepherd's not really playing in blowouts as much this year compared to last because he's actually, starting in a pretty important part of the rotation right now. So, I mean, these guys all are fine. Like the matchup is really good. The Kings are a really good matchup for just, scoring efficiency. They have one of the highest field goal percentage boosts in the NBA, but top 10 in terms of pace, bottom 5 in terms of defensive efficiency for the Kings. But I just worry about, from a minutes perspective, if these guys are going to get cut off due to that blowout. So I'm probably not getting this game a whole lot.
Yeah. Nobody in this slate projected for more minutes than Keegan Murray, for what it's worth. He's actually averaging 39 minutes per game this season. I'm not saying to play Keegan Murray. I just thought it was interesting how many minutes he's playing so far this year, playing a ton. Him and Cade Cunningham are tied at 37 as far as projected minutes. TJ in chat talking about Clint Capella season if Adams is out. Yeah, and Capella would probably mop up too, I think. Would Capella mop? I mean, there's Jeff Green, Jayshawn Tate. Do we have an if-then on this? We probably do. Does Capella project if we happen to lose Steven Adams? Oh, I don't think we have one. It's probably something behind the scenes that's not published. Maybe.
Let me take a look.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say about Capella is he did play blowout run. Yeah, we have, if Adams is out, we have him 18 minutes.
Is he 3K? 3.8? Come on.
3.8, yeah. The one thing I will say about Capella, he played 14 minutes last game in the blowout. He has actually closed in the 2 recent blowout game. So maybe he would mop a little bit more than I would expect. Maybe they actually are, for some reason, playing him in these games that blow out. But yeah, I mean, looking at the last 3 blowouts, he's played the final at least 4+ minutes of all the last 3 like really bad blowouts for Houston. So yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to say as far as Sacramento and Houston? You did not seem very enthused about the Kings.
No, I mean right now the best projected player for me in this game is Steven Adams. So if he's out, that would probably then be Clint Capella because he's probably going to project for the same amount of minutes. And I would actually probably feel better about his minutes having a ceiling than Steven Adams because, again, if that game blows out, I still don't know if it's like a guarantee. Like if this game is like completely over, they don't need to trot Capella out there. They don't need to worry about like positional stuff.
Yeah.
But they have been doing that recently, so that would typically lead me to believe he's going to play 17, 18 minutes in a blowout. Maybe a ceiling for more if this game goes sideways quick. But it would be the reverse for Steven Adams, where you project him for like 18, 19, 20 minutes, and then he would only likely go down. So I would prefer to play Capella over Steven Adams in that scenario.
To the point that I've been making like all show, Aaron Holiday, 4-1 on DK, projected to play 23 minutes, 20 fantasy points, 14% ownership. It's like nobody wants to play Aaron Holiday. Nobody. But like he could be fine. He could be useful in theory if we don't get a lot of pieces fall a certain way, which he may. Just sort of stay tuned. If value doesn't open up, man, I do not want to click on Aaron Holiday, but I get it, I suppose. Detroit and the Bucks. Far as we know, Giannis Antetokounmpo not yet traded, still on Milwaukee, playing basketball tonight for the Bucks, taking on Detroit, about a 4-point home dog. Who's in? Who's out as far as this one? Well, I flew right past him on the injury report. Yeah, Antetokounmpo is out. Now that's Alex. That's Alex Antetokounmpo, but Giannis officially probable. Gary Harris is questionable. Pete Nance, that's Larry's brother, right? I'm pretty sure he's questionable. So, yeah. KPJ, he was awesome last game. Yeah. He's been awesome since going back, but now he's questionable because he's got a back, so he's questionable in the slate. Bobby Portis also questionable with an eye. He's got an eye, so he's questionable. And Tareem Prince is still out with his neck. Detroit, Sasser is still out. Duncan Robinson is questionable. We saw, what's his name jumped up there, Jenkins. He took the most shots in that game. That's the one game I had the game like 3 games on at once. That was when I kind of watched the most. He took the most shots for Detroit. I think he missed the most shots too. I don't know if you watched that game. He missed a lot I think that was against Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But he definitely had a big usage boost. If Duncan Robinson doesn't go, I imagine he would once again be the guy, and I would imagine he just kind of sort of have to shoot better. If we happen to lose Duncan Robinson, of course, if you have salary, you can spend up on Cunningham. Jalen Duren is there for you. Asar Thompson in the mid-tier. How do we feel about the Bucks and Detroit?
Yeah, I think right now Kevin Porter Jr. is maybe the best play on the slate if he plays. I think last game in the first half, he played 17 and a half, 18 first half minutes. I mean, it's no surprise that this guy crushed on a permanent basis, right? He's done it every single time he's played in the NBA. It's usually when he starts throwing food at his teammates in the cafeterias when he gets himself into trouble. But
I don't know that story.
What team was that? Was it when he was on Houston? Where else
was he throwing it at?
I don't know who he was throwing it at, but he was throwing food at somebody in the cafeteria, and that is what got him out of wherever he was. Maybe Houston, I don't know, but yeah, somewhere. And then he got into some other stuff that is much worse. But when he's on the floor, he's usually pretty productive. And yeah, 9 minutes in the first quarter, 9.5 minutes in the second quarter. So actually 18.5 minutes in the first half. And he was on pace to pretty much play a similar rotation or a similar amount in the second half. He played 7 minutes in the third quarter. So, I mean, he was playing monster minutes. This was a guy who was projected for like 27, 28 minutes across the industry coming into last game. He could have played 34, 35 minutes in that game, and he was crushing, obviously, against the Wizards. So that's gonna, tend to happen. But right now, across the industry, I would make a case that even we're low on him from a median perspective, but the ceiling is certainly higher. Like he has the ceiling to play 35 minutes in this spot. So if this is a spot where the industry as a whole is possibly 5 or 6 minutes too low on a guy who crushes on a permanent basis. It's pretty much all systems go for me on Kevin Porter Jr. There is the question mark of if the injury is going to hold him back from minutes, which maybe that's why the industry is pulling back on minutes. But if he was fully healthy coming into this game, and we looked at his rotations from last game, he would be projecting for like 34 minutes as a median with a ceiling of 35, 36, in my opinion. So matchup's not as good as the one from last game against Washington, but Detroit still does play fast. So that will typically benefit a guy like Kevin Porter Jr. And he also doesn't really need a lot of help. He's just really efficient, really productive as is. So Kevin Porter Jr., I think, is a fantastic play. I think he's probably my first click on both sites, 6'4" on FanDuel, 6'3" on DraftKings. I don't think you're finding a guy with that kind of value on his price. I don't think you're finding much better on the price compared to value, especially considering the ceiling that he has. He has the ceiling to be like an 8.5K player. Obviously, we'll see how he meshes here with the minutes and with the potential back injury. But he was doing all that with Giannis on the floor. And yes, Giannis didn't have a great game last time out either. So you're likely going to expect Giannis to have a better game, and therefore KPJ would take a little bit of a step back. But still, at 6'4", 6'3", he looks really good. So love Kevin Porter Jr. He's by far my favorite player from Milwaukee. On the other side, Cade is a potential spend-up option, but he also is creeping into that, the conversation where it's like, all right, if you're going to spend up for Cade, like, can you find and it's not cheap because Giannis is still like 3K more, or sorry, Jokic is still like 3K more, but it gets to the point where you're making those tough decisions anyway. So if you're going to do that, might as well just spend up for the guy that's projecting for nearly 70 points. So I like Cade, but maybe difficult to play him here in this spot. Duren's been awesome. He's another guy who I think people tend to under-project from a minutes perspective. Like when things go well for him and the game stays close and he's not getting into foul trouble, he's playing 32, 33 minutes. And a lot of times around the industry, he's projecting for like 29 or 30. But I think that we should be projecting him for more minutes. So if he's a guy that is under-projected as well, that's the guy I'm going to like in tournaments. So I think KPJ and Duren are my two favorite guys in this one. And then if Duncan Robinson is out, Tobias Harris improves, and he's at a pretty friendly price tag. Asar Thompson, you feel better about the minutes stability as well as the ceiling. And then Jenkins also enters the fold if he starts again. I don't know if it's a guarantee that he starts again. With Duncan, it could be matchup stuff, but if we get that news, he's certainly in play again.
We're projecting Cade for 37 minutes. Somebody was saying it was a bowl of soup with Kevin Porter. Apparently he threw a bowl of soup at an assistant. I found another story where he was upset about his locker getting moved. He tends to, there's a lot of stuff on him if you give it a Google. Yeah. A lot of talent there. And he didn't he get paid in Houston and his contract was voided? I feel like he got paid and they got rid of it because of there's, the clause off the court stuff. Who's Asar going to cover? He's going to cover Giannis? Does he cover KPJ?
That's a tough question. I would have to go back and look and see if we have any data on that from previous games. But yeah, I would probably guess Giannis, but maybe they try to put like Tobias on him or something. But I mean, either way, Tobias is getting killed either way. So
yeah. I was just trying to think for like Asar's a good defender, and like Giannis is like he's going to get his almost always, but maybe just lower him a tick if Asar is going to be on him. It of course also raises his chance of being in foul trouble. There's a lot of stuff in transition too, so there's not always like man to man. Like you don't worry about that too much.
Right.
Any props tonight? Are you in the streets as far as scores and odds? You had player props out there for the people? Anything we like?
I will have some for sure. I've been a little bit delayed, so I've been running the models and stuff like that. So I'll have them for sure before we tip off. But I'll have some by the end of the show if we get if you want to do like a like counter.
Well, the end of the show is in like 3 or 5 minutes, depending on when crunch time comes in.
That's all. That's all the time I need, Dean.
Jamal Murray, by the way, surprising. I had him out in my head. Jamal Murray's going to play, and the Joker officially in as well. The last game, the game on NBA TV, it's the Heat, my Heat, against Ross Mavericks, but it's no longer Ross' team, right? He used to like him, but not so much anymore. They did a thing that a lot of people that root for the Mavericks don't like. 238.5 is the total. The Heat are 4-point favorites. Norman Powell is out. I believe it's not the groin. It's the ankle. He's got different body parts. Now it's the ankle tonight. Wiggins good to go with his hip. Pele Larson has got a toe, so he's questionable. Kashad Johnson is he's got an illness, but he's in. He's fine. Jaime Jaquez, despite having a groin, he's going to play with his groin. He is available. Tyler Hero also good to go. He's available with his ankle. Dallas, Cooper Flagg is on the injury report, but he's available with his thumb. Gafford is questionable, ankle. Lively, he's out with his foot. PJ Washington, who he fell on a basketball the other night right before the game started. Yeah. He got scratched. He's out. He's questionable. He's questionable with his ankle. Just Anthony Davis on DK. He looks like his minutes are full. He's one of the best point per dollar plays on this slate. If you're to trust that we're going to get 33 minutes or so out of him. And against Miami, great up and pace game. Miami's been awesome in the half court defensively for what it's worth. But how do we feel about the Heat and the Mavs? I think somebody from Miami is gonna. They play so fast. they do a really good job of racking up fantasy points. I don't know how to isolate my favorites. I think Khalil Ware is like the most fun. I'm just not sure how many minutes he'll get, and that's always the problem with him. But you tell me. Miami, Dallas, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it there with the pace for Miami. They've been, it's been like their identity to go out of their way to run. And I actually think they'll be a quicker team without Norman Powell because he's their main half-court guy outside of Tyler Hero. So I think this game could even speed up a little bit, especially on the other side when you have Dallas, who ranks 6th in terms of pace. So for what it's worth, both teams do have solid defensive efficiency numbers, but they're both just playing so fast that they've been good fantasy matchups across the board. I would say pretty much anybody you could name that's playing any more than 22 minutes on Miami is in play here. You have Khalil Ware at 22 minutes or 23 minutes where we have him. He looks pretty good in this matchup. And then Jaquez, I like quite a bit. If we get Larson out, Fontecchio, I think, is going to be a guy who I think could be a really interesting tournament play. And then obviously you have the big names, Hero, Wiggins, Bam, all in play. For what it's worth, Wiggins has not actually improved scoring-wise with Powell off the floor so far this season, which was an interesting thing to see for me. Hero's gotten a big bump in the limited time we've seen with him and Norm off the floor. On the other side, Anthony Davis, I think, looks really good here. Saw a little bit of a minutes bump last time out. I do think, again, it's tough with the price point for him, 8.8, but I think that might lead to some increased ownership with the lower price tag, but on FanDuel he's 10-4. So DraftKings, I think he's going to be maybe a potential cash option. He played 32 minutes last game, 32 and 13, huge usage so far this season. So Anthony Davis I like quite a bit. I know you mentioned Nembhard. He's been pretty good since entering the starting lineup. 4-4 on DraftKings. He looks good. Those are probably my two favorite Dallas guys. Probably the only two that I'm getting super excited about on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, I think Nembhard's still fine, but probably tough to get to 80 on FanDuel at that 10-4 increase tag.
Yeah, the Dallas point guard position's been really fragile. It looks like, at least for now, it's Nembhard's, right? 28 minutes is the projection. Earlier in the season, we saw it with Brandon Williams and D'Lo kind of bouncing back and forth. D'Lo's got like some DMP CDs. We are giving him 6 minutes and Williams 14. And this also kind of feels like a thing that could change game to game. But I think it's Nembhard's tonight. So I think he's a pretty interesting tournament play. And we're giving him 28 minutes. But I think there's a scenario where he plays 30 plus. I also think there's a scenario where he plays like 20, just depending on how he's playing. And there's really no way of kind of figuring that out. And to your point about two fast teams, two great defenses, at least as far as defensive rating, the pace this year, Miami 1, Dallas 6. Defensive rating this year, Miami 4, Dallas 5. So I think it's the biggest total on the board as well, if I'm not mistaken. 238.5, I think. Is that the biggest total on the board? Cleveland and Portland, 240. So my bad. Second biggest. Give me the player that's going to break the slate. And we gave you 3 to 5 minutes. Was that enough time to give the people a player prop or two?
Of course it was, Dean. I work quick when it comes to these kinds of things. But they actually kind of correlate a little bit because my player to break the slate is going to be Kawhi Leonard at 8-1 on DraftKings. I think he's going to be sub 10% owned. I like that quite a bit. He's also my top player prop right now on his over points and rebounds, 29.5. I haven't projected for 29 points alone, so I think there's some nice value there. I think he also has 7-8 rebound upside. and 30-point upside. So I like Kawhi in the points plus rebounds. And then one more player prop would be Michael Porter Jr. over 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I gassed him up quite a bit. I think he could also score 30-plus points alone in this matchup. So like both of those guys quite a bit tonight.
Steve is pointing out that the people did not hit the like button enough, and we rewarded them without didn't now retroactively hit the like button, tap it, caress it, whatever your adjective of choice happens to be. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna seamlessly segue to crunch time. It's TJ, it's Noto, it's Roth, it's crunch time right now. Kevin Roth, how are things? Everything well?
I mean, I'm starting the show on mute because of screaming children, but other than that, it's great in the Roth household.
How long have you been growing out the beard? Did I not notice it yesterday?
We're going on about a week and a half here. It's looking pretty sexy, isn't it, Dean?
Is there an end game here?
Yeah. It gets to a point, it just gets too itchy and annoying, and I'm reaching that point. So the end game might be tomorrow, honestly. Okay. I've had enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just jealous I can't grow them myself. I shave like every week, but you don't even notice probably.
Well, to be fair, you have grown the most majestic mustache of anyone here.
Majestic is doing a lot of work there. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
I don't know if we've got that. I don't know if we've got that photo available, but for those who have not seen it.
I tried to get it to burn, but I only have so much pull around here. Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good, dude.
Yeah. And as I said before, I went to Grant. I went to Grant's wedding, and he said as a gift, his wedding gift, he asked for me to grow a mustache. I did give him something else too, but I did give him the gift of my terrible majestic mustache. So
I actually did not realize that was the backstory behind.
That was the backstory.
That makes it even better. It's incredible.
TJ, Noto, we doing all right?
Yeah, doing all right. Doing good. I'm just here sitting in shock that you got Grant 2 wedding gifts and I couldn't even get one.
I actually sent you a wedding gift. It was a Fungo Pop, and you probably gave me the wrong address, or somewhere it got lost in translation. But I bought something I wasn't even aware of, like some guy from some series, maybe Star Wars, I don't know. And it's randomly showed up at a stranger's house. And like, what is this? Yeah. I promise you, I sent you something.
No, I know you did. It just felt like a perfect time to bring that back up.
Yeah, I don't know what I sent you, but it's somewhere out there lurking. But my bad. I apologize on behalf of UPS or whoever's fault it was.
It's not your bad. It's not your bad at all.
Trey Jones out for Chicago, so DeSumo is going to look really good. Oh, Jalen Smith is out too. Look at that. We're getting all the updated stuff. So the backup 5 for Chicago is out as well. Okay, some more news is coming on through. There's several more players for Chicago that need to be updated. Are we going to be talking about Julian Phillips? Is he going to project well on this slate? Maybe. We'll see. Roth and the boys, they're going to let you know. Myself and Kyle, hit that like button. We do appreciate y'all watching that first portion. You got 40 minutes of crunch time. Roth, it is all yours.
And it starts right now. Good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's two of the sharpest minds in the industry. Going to take you up to lock. We might take you a little past lock if we still have some questions going on. Derek Farnsworth, a.k.a. Noto, in the house. What up, Noto?
What's going on? Happy Wednesday. This slate, it's something.
It's a big one, and I want to play 3 Mavs, which seems crazy, but in this spot, maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll dive into it. We got TJ in the house as well. TJ, how are you?
Doing very well. We got a fun slate. All the news seems to be piling in right now. We just got Steven Adams ruled in, and Josh Okogie will start ahead of Reed Shepherd on Wednesday. So that's minor, but lots of stuff coming in, and it should be a fun slate. 9 games, lots going on.
Yeah, a lot of games, lots of fish, lots of weather. Not sure why we went with the perfect storm reference there, but let's talk about the slate because we do have a lot of games and a lot to get to. So let's dive right in. TJ,
nice idea call last night. I was thinking after the first half that I was going to DM you and be like, ha, 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 I told you so. And then he just went crazy in the second half.
He's so good. And I'm going to play him. I think
Jalen Johnson just downgraded to questionable for Atlanta.
Oh. Who was?
Jalen Johnson.
Okay. Yeah, I'm back on that Denny train tonight. We shall see how that goes. But TJ, you can either give me an overall breakdown of the slate, or you can just dive on in DraftKings point guard. Your choice.
Giannis in, Kevin Porter in, Bobby Portis in, Gary Harrison. Big time overview is I think we have 2 games on this slate that of the 9 I think are the most exciting. We have Miami and Dallas. We have Brooklyn and Chicago. 2 games with really high totals and probably not a lot of defense being played, and 2 games that are going to be played very, very quickly. And they're especially getting more interesting now that we're getting these guys out for Chicago. So more value is popping up. We should get that soon. But there's kind of the nice thing about this being a 9-game slate is I am viewing a couple of these games as, if not cross-offs, only 1 or 2 guys that I'm willing to get to in those games. And so it's making things a lot easier to just target a few specific spots like Brooklyn, Chicago, Miami, Dallas, and the Knicks are kind of the places standing out to me. And now it'll look like Atlanta too if we get Jalen Johnson out.
Okay, well, let's dive right into it. A lot of people are kind of asking about this news that's just breaking. Are we upgrading Gay? Where does this most recent news rank, Noto, and who's getting bumps for you?
Yeah, the late day downgrade to questionable, never good, especially, an hour, half hour before lock. I think Gay's going to get a big bump if Johnson's out. Okongwu is probably going to be a core play for me. And then obviously a bunch of usage is going to open up for the guards too. Dyson Daniels, Alexander Walker, Richeche could be interesting as well. So we don't have a ton of value at the moment. If Johnson ends up being out, I think that completely makes the slate much more playable. Even though I do love Johnson, having tagged as a core play right now.
Okay. Let's dive right into it here. Let's start DraftKings point guard, Noto. What do you got?
Yeah, so at the very top, a lot of interesting spends. You have Josh Giddey, no Kobe White. So I think that's an interesting one. They're obviously missing a couple other guys too that get you to that access to that great game environment. It's my favorite game on the slate to stack, Chicago and Brooklyn. So I like Giddey quite a bit. Jalen Brunson, always a safe play for cash games. Nice matchup at home against Charlotte. Cade Cunningham I like as well. We kind of joked about James Harden, partying too much in Miami the other night. And that came to fruition. He had his worst game of the season, 16 fantasy points. If I'm not mistaken, Atlanta has a pretty decent nightlife as well.
Famously.
So just keep that in mind if you're playing James Harden tonight. As far as value plays go, I'll be looking to spend up for the most part, but I do like Demon at 5,100 against Chicago. Anthony Black's the guy that's averaged 30 fantasy points per game with Banchero out this season. And if you look at his game log, it's been awesome. He's not a guy that projects well on most slates, but he's been awesome. Decent matchup for him against the Spurs. And then I'll let TJ round out the point guards.
Okay. Shout out to Magic City in Hotlanta. TJ, what do you got going on at point guard?
Yeah, weirdly spread out at the point guard position today. I still want to hold on. Let me double check quick to see if these Chicago guys are updated. I didn't get a chance to look at that yet, but in general, I don't think I'm going to be, I haven't had a 150 build come in yet, but I think I'm going to be incredibly spread out at this position with guys like Kevin Porter Jr., who Kyle just brought up on the last show. I think is going to be one of my favorite options today. Really sneaky. People, Kyle brought up how around the industry, he's not really being projected like he's been playing through 2 games. And now it's only 2 games. We don't know he's going to continue to be a crazy point per minute producer, but he kind of always has been. And so really big fan of him today. Tyler Herro and Drew Smith, the 2 Miami guards with Norman Powell being out. I like both of them quite a bit today. Herro's price has gone down as his minutes are going up. And so really interested in him. And I think Davion Mitchell's in play too. So any of the 3 Miami Heat point guards I like today.
TJ, real quick on Drew Smith, I'm seeing his minutes projection at 18. Is that 18 with room up, or is that like I don't want to play a dude who's getting 18 minutes?
Well, he's only $3,400. He's a great fantasy point per minute producer, and there is room to go up because Pelle Larsson is still questionable. So, like that's why I like all 3 of the Miami point guards: Hero, with Drew Smith and Davion Mitchell, because all of them are good as they are, but all of them probably get a couple more minutes if Larson's out.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry, I cut you off.
Other stand-ups that I don't mind are Jalen Brunson, Jamal Murray. Nobody's going to play because he's been questionable all day. And then LaMelo Ball as well. He just kind of seems like he's one of those guys that will go, hey, I'm in New York. I'm going to try extra hard now.
Yeah, that checks out. Let's go to shooting guard, TJ. What do you like there?
One of the very, very rare occasions I actually like shooting guard better than point guard. I think it is the first slate of the season that I've actually liked the shooting guard better than point guard. We have Ayo Dosunmu in a great spot with all these Chicago players out. Jaime Jaquez is another Miami Heat player in play today. And then Donovan Mitchell and Josh Hart, two guys projecting for less than 10% ownership that I both love for tournaments today. You got Flagg in a good spot, Desmond Bane in a good spot, and then I didn't mention Anthony Black at point guard, but he is projected very well also.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Noto, your thoughts there at shooting guard on DK?
Yeah, I agree with all the guys TJ mentioned. I do like Donovan Mitchell up top if you are spending. We have him projected for 8% right now, which is pretty good on a 9-game slate. He just never gets ownership, and he puts up 50+ every night. Dosunmu is the obvious cash game guy. Chicago shorthanded, good matchup against Brooklyn. The minutes are going to be there. Desmond Bane's averaged 40 fantasy points per game with Banchero out this season. So if you want to get up to him, I don't mind it, coming off of a back-to-back 54+ fantasy point outings. And then for tournaments, I talk about him every time I come on the show. Cooper Flagg, 7,100, 6% ownership projection right now. His last 8 games, he's top 45 fantasy points.
Yeah, he's figured it out
5 times. So he's getting there. Good matchup against Miami too. And yeah, it's crazy. He's still is he still 18? I saw a stat the other day.
I think so.
He's 4th all time and scoring before turning 19. So he's got 2 more weeks to add to that stat. I like the Jaquez call. And then, Alexander Walker, just depending on Jalen Johnson.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to small forward, Noto. What do you got there?
Yeah, if you can find the cap space, Michael Porter Jr., been crushing it. If you take out the game he got hurt, he's at least 43 fantasy points in 7 straight games. Coming off of a huge outing the other night. Great matchup against the Bulls. And again, that's my favorite game to stack, so he's probably my favorite. You can play Dosunmu here as well. After that, I don't really like anybody. I'm okay with Jaquez. Kyle did mention Kawhi Leonard on the last show. He was complaining about his minutes. They finally gave him 30 minutes last game. So if we assume that's going to trend upward, maybe he gets 31, 32 tonight. He can put up points quickly. And, if Harden's out there partying last night, then maybe Kawhi's going to have to handle more offensive production tonight. And that's pretty much it for me. I don't like Wagner. Again, he's averaged fewer fantasy points without Banchero than he has with Banchero, which is kind of interesting. And everyone else on the Magic has, increased their production. So I'll continue to fade him.
Yeah. Okay. TJ, your thoughts of small forward on DK?
A lot of these guys that we brought up at shooting guard also have small forward eligibility. So Josh Hart, really like him today. Ayo Dosunmu, totally fine. Jaime Jaquez, another person I'm very interested in. Tumani Kamara projects really well. This Pelly Larson news is actually pretty important because all these Heat guys get a bump if he happens to be out. Michael Porter Jr. has just been incredible, and now he gets a really good matchup going against the Bulls, who are playing at a blistering fast pace. So I really like him. And then that's kind of it for priorities. Dosunmu, Hart, Kamara, Jaquez, Porter are my 5 highest owned, and I don't have anybody else over 10%. And that's where I'm taking shots on guys like Phillips for the Bulls and Drake Powell for the Nets, just like some punt plays to see if they work.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to power forward, TJ. What are you doing?
Power forward spot, I'm actually getting Mo Gay as my highest owned player now. We might get this news before lock. I'm not sure yet. We did just get Duncan Robinson listed as out for Detroit today. I am kind of playing this now as though Jalen Johnson's going to be out, and so Mo Gay is the guy I want to get significantly overweight on. I forgot to mention him at small forward and guard position, but I also think that drastically impacts Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Just because Jalen Johnson's been so heavily involved as a pick and roll and a playmaker, I kind of feel like Alexander Walker is probably going to have to be that guy now. And so like him at that previous position, but Mo Gay, Andrew Wiggins, Anthony Davis, Alperen Şengün, who I just love that he is power forward eligibility. Those are my guys that I'm getting to the most. And then it's just some punts, like guys like Jalen Phillips, guys like Danny Wolf for Brooklyn, Noah Clowney for Brooklyn I like quite a bit, Peyton Watson for Denver I like, but getting to them at much lower ownership.
Okay. Noto, power forward, what do you like?
Yeah, Anthony Davis just feels too cheap. Ended up playing, 32 minutes last game. So can't imagine he's going to be on this matchup's good at home. Fastest paced game on the slate for sure. Yeah. I like him. Probably not going to play Jalen Johnson even if he's active now. And so hopefully he gets out and then we can play Gay at really cheap price point. Kind of opens up the slate as well. I know you like Avdia. Don't mind him in tournaments. Tough matchup against Cleveland. But he's the guy that can put up a bunch of fantasy points. And shout out to Jay Sams, RG member. Ended up taking down a nice tournament the other night with Şengün, who we talked about on the show on FanDuel. So I don't mind going back to him at 9,700. And that's pretty much it for me. I always like Noah Clowney. I just prefer him over Claxton because he never gets the ownership and he's a little bit cheaper. He has similar upside. So I'll take Clowney over Claxton tonight in that matchup against the Bulls.
Okay, we did officially get the news that Jalen Johnson is out. So now Mo Gay gets the bump. Yeah. Who else kind of jumps out to you, TJ? You mentioned Gay is going to end up being one of your highest owned players.
Gay is going to be one of my highest owned players, and then Okongwu and Nickeil Alexander-Walker are both priorities for me now. And Dyson Daniels is going to be the only other Atlanta player in my pool. I don't really think I need to get to Reese Shea or Wallace, Krejci, Kennard, guys like that. And so I'm going to be just sticking with Gay, the guy I think will likely absorb most of the minutes, and then Okongwu, Alexander Daniels, the guy I think will get most of the ball handling and usage from it.
Dude, I thought Okongwu was going to be cheap. This dude is 7,400. I was not ready for that, and that is disappointing. Okay. Noto, what do you got at center?
We'll still crush. Don't worry.
All right.
Center. So yeah, more options now, but I like Okongwu quite a bit. 7,500 again. That Clippers matchup, it's a pace down matchup, but they're bad at everything. They're bad at rebounding, 3-point percentage allowed, defensive rating, points allowed per game, anything you want to name, points in the paint. They're bad. So I like Okongwu quite a bit. The slate is becoming more interesting for Jokic. It was hard to fit him earlier in the day. It's still a little bit hard, but it's getting easier and easier now that all this injury news is coming out. So I don't mind playing him at 13-4. I don't think anybody's going to play him. Pretty good matchup against Indy if you nail your value plays, and that's going to be a pretty good strategy tonight. We talked about Şengün, who I like, and then Vucevic never gets ownership. Great rebounding matchup against Brooklyn. Chicago's now missing both of their backup centers. They're missing a couple other key players as well, and Kobe White. So, yeah, I like Vucevic as a kind of a pivot away from Okongwu in tournaments.
Yeah. Okay. TJ, your thoughts at center?
Yeah, center today, you can go all the way down to guys like Mo Gay, guys like who else was I looking at here? Ngoga Bitadze was a cheap value that I don't think will be near as chalky now because we have all this value that's opening up. Even another guy like Day'Ron Sharpe in that Brooklyn and Chicago game is projecting pretty well. I think Şengün is going to be my favorite guy at this position today. Even if he doesn't start, I really like Khalil Ware from Miami. He's just one of those guys that all he needs is a couple more minutes to smash his price tag. And without Powell out, especially if Larson doesn't play, I think if Larson doesn't play, Ware probably starts. And so really like him as a tournament option. And that's it for the main priorities. Gay, Şengün, Ware, and then Okongwu as well. And Nick Claxton was projecting for mega ownership, and I'm kind of interested to see how that goes now that we have all these different people opening up, because I don't think he's a good play at almost 40% ownership in tournaments. I think he's a great cash play, but not somebody I'd want to play in tournaments at that ownership. I don't actually think he's going to get that ownership now, though, and so he all of a sudden becomes more interesting to me there.
Yeah. Quick question from Daniel, and I'm not taking it because it is the same question I have. I would never do that. But can you play Davis with Cooper Flagg, TJ, assuming you're running it back with some guys on Miami?
Oh, yeah, that's no problem at all.
Good. I want to make sure you're getting the best deal in the industry.
Miami is the second fastest paced team in basketball right now behind Chicago. So
I'm also jamming in Nemhard, so I need that game to go to like a little triple OT.
That might be too
Hey, Missouri sports betting, it is online. Make sure you check the link in the description. Find the best promo codes when you're signed up for sportsbooks in Missouri. And if you're playing NBA DFS and you're still relying on box scores, you're just clicking the player, like, how did you do the last few games? Well, you're already behind. Check out shot quality. It gives you the most predictive data in basketball. Breaks down every shot, not to just show you what did go in, but was it a good shot, right? What's the value here? And that can help you be more predictive with trying to project what happens going forward. Right now, you can get a free 3-day trial just by heading to the link in the show description. After that, it renews monthly for $39.99. Don't play blind, play smarter with shot quality. 3-day trial right now is free with the link in the description. We still have a pretty good time. We're doing all right here. Let's kick it over to FanDuel. TJ, you can go first with point guard on FanDuel, please.
Yeah, 1 second. Sorry, just adjusting all these things. Gay's projection is not very good, and all of a sudden, guys like Luke Kennard and Dyson Daniels are really popping. So, just doing some reevaluating there. I still think Gay is my top option, but projections now. I thought it was going to be Nickeil Alexander-Walker who popped, but it is Dyson Daniels currently popping, and it seems as though our projection team thinks that's going to be a lot of the guards soaking up those Jalen Johnson minutes because of the role he plays as a ball handler in that offense, as opposed to a power forward like Mo Gay. So worth keeping in mind. I still really like Gay for tournaments, but he's not this like lock button cash gameplay, anything like that. Point on FanDuel, there's not a whole lot of difference other than Miles McBride is incredibly cheap, and that makes him a very good play and a good matchup against Chicago. Dyson Daniels is only 7,100 on FanDuel, and you get the extra points for steals over here. So Dyson Daniels becomes a core cash game play over here and still a good tournament option. He is projecting for nearly 40 fantasy points over on FanDuel, the best RotoGrinders value at the point guard position. Josh Giddey looks really good now with all these guys out for Chicago because he barely has a backup point guard. And so he's projecting for 36 minutes, almost 50 fantasy points. I like him today. Dennis Jenkins at 4,600, I think is going to be a great low-owned tournament play with no Duncan Robinson. He played 26 minutes in his last game. He put up a very reasonable 23.5 fantasy points for that price tag, but he's 3 for 16. He had a 32% usage rate. He was doing the same stuff he does when he fills in for Cade Cunningham. He just shot terribly. He was 3 for 16. He was 0 for 8 from the three-point line. And so really, really big fan of Dennis Jenkins as a low-owned tournament salary saver today.
That is a really, really good note. I love that call. Noto, what do you got at point?
Yeah, glad you brought up Jenkins. We had a question about him in the chat. And yeah, the projections team nailed it the other night. Got the spot started, played 26 minutes, which is exactly what they had him projected for. And tonight with Duncan Robinson out, maybe there's a couple extra minutes for him. Love the Dyson Daniels call. I just ran the DK optimal with Gay locked, and then you get 5 Hawks, which is kind of fun. I think that's certainly viable tonight with their best 3 players out, and Porzingis, Trae Young, and Jalen Johnson. Love Giddey over on FanDuel as well. Guy that can fill up the stat sheet, benefits with Chicago guys being out. Mitchell and Brunson probably more tournament plays for me. I think Daniels and Giddey kind of a step ahead of them. And then talked about Jenkins. Pretty much it for me as point guard.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to shooting guard, Noto.
Yeah, basically take what I said, repeat it for shooting guard. You have Daniels, Giddey. You also have Dosunmu here. So I would probably play, if you're playing Dosunmu, I guess you have to play him at shooting guard, and then you can play one of the other point guards at shooting guard that are shooting guard eligible. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I still like him a little bit more than Daniels. I'll probably end up playing both in this spot because I do love the Hawks tonight. And then Desmond Bane for tournaments, I'm fine with that. It's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. TJ, your thoughts at shooting guard?
Like that Desmond Bane call. I'm kind of thinking on FanDuel, like Dyson Daniels, regardless of where he comes in at ownership, since he has that dual eligibility, and on FanDuel where he's cheaper and you get that steal bonus, I kind of want to lock button him over there. Like he just seems like such a great high floor, high ceiling play. I would assume cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. He's going to be incredibly highly owned, probably more of a cash game play than somebody I'd want to get to in large field tournaments with it just refreshed on FanDuel, and he's projecting for 56% ownership over there. So don't really want to do that in tournaments, but a great cash game play. Don't mind Amen Thompson. Don't mind somebody like a Mikal Bridges. But I actually don't find the position as strong here on FanDuel as I do on DraftKings from a depth standpoint. But I just really want to hammer in Dyson Daniels.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to small forward, TJ.
Michael Porter Jr., I think my favorite guy here at the small forward position. We have Zachary Reese-Shea projecting really well now, and I don't love it for tournaments, but for cash, he's only $4,300 on FanDuel. That is so cheap. And so I think Reese-Shea is a very solid play. Josh Hart, one of my favorite plays on the slate, $7,500. Jaime Jaquez is really cheap on FanDuel at only $5,200. And that would be it for my priorities.
Okay.
Kamara is fine too at 57, but he's not as cheap relative to DraftKings, considering how everybody else just seems to be cheaper on FanDuel.
Yeah, let's go to power forward, TJ.
Isn't it Noto for small forward?
Maybe not. Sorry. So, anyways, I'm plugging in Şengün. Noto, your thoughts at small forward?
It's fine. I'm trying to fix my lineup anyway. So, small forward, Reese-Shea, I think is the easy click there. 4.3K, like TJ mentioned, just too cheap, especially for cash games. MPJ, it's been awesome. Again, 43 plus in 7 straight games. If you take out the one he got hurt, love the Josh Hart call. I don't think anybody's really going to be itching to play him, even though it's a good matchup. He's been awesome over the last couple of weeks. Mitchell Robinson's out. So I like that. And then Jaquez is a little bit cheaper over here on FanDuel. So I'll play some of him in tournaments. The game log watchers will be scared to play him just because he's been struggling a little bit the last 6 or 7 games. And then your boy Avdia, always viable in tournaments. Roth.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go to power forward.
Yeah, Lobo Kongwo, Reese-Shea. You can play either of them. I'd probably rather play Reese-Shea at small forward because power forward is a little bit stronger position. You have Gay here at 4,100. Yeah, we don't have a great projection on him. Maybe they are waiting to see if he starts or comes off the bench. I'm going to be on him either way. Good per minute producer. I think he's going to play 25 plus minutes. So it's probably better if he doesn't start for his ownership. I'm not a Towns guy. He just hasn't been great. So I'd probably play Hart over Towns. Again, I'm not a Wagner guy either. So I kind of like some of the more popular fades in this spot. And then Şengün at 99. I'll play some of him in tournaments.
Yeah. TJ, your thoughts at the 4?
Yeah, I really love Şengün and Okongwu both. Mohamed Gay still even though his projection is not as crazy as we thought it was going to be, as high as we thought it was going to be, he's still one of the better values at the position. So totally fine with rolling him out here. Josh Hart has power forward eligibility on FanDuel, so that makes him one of my favorites. I think I have a slight preference at these high price tags for Anthony Davis. I would rather go Şengün than AD there. And then Andrew Wiggins, another guy I like for tournaments tonight.
Let's go to center, TJ.
Okongwu, Claxton, the top 2 options here. You could roll out a Şengün and a Gay here, but there are so many good center options that I don't know you need to do one of these power forward eligible guys. I like Zubats for tournaments. If you can get up to Jokic, all the power to you. Jokic is always a great tournament play at low ownership. And then Khalil Ware's priced up on FanDuel, but I still think he's viable in tournaments.
Yeah. Noto your favorite centers.
I like Okongwu. I like Jokic if you can make it work. I like Vucevic, who I talked about. That's it.
Okay. Let's see. We got a ton of questions coming in. We're going to get to a lot of those. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit us with the thumbs up. And of course, we like to start in the RG Discord. That is where the OGs hang out. Keep in mind, you can join the RotoGrinders Discord, and then you'll get your questions answered first as well. Let's see. Hey, I've got a lot of Nemhard.
Washington ruled out.
Who?
Daniel Gafford ruled in.
Oh, PJ.
I think that makes somebody like a Najee Marshall kind of viable with PJ Johnson out for Dallas. He is priced up at $5,900, but yeah, that's kind of all that really changes for me. I think it puts Najee in play.
I've got a lot of Nemhard, Ryan Nemhard. He went up, 50 fantasy points last game. Am I crazy to be playing him at 4,400?
Problem is, Dallas just doesn't trust their point guard. I mean, we've seen him go through Brandon Williams. We've seen him go through D'Angelo Russell. I like Nemhard. I think he was a better option before all these injuries, but I'm okay with him.
Yeah. He was in beer 6-pack.
Okay.
It's always good.
I just feel like they want him to be the dude. He absolutely blew up yesterday. They're going to let him try to be the dude again.
And he's
so
Canadian, so can't go wrong there.
Can't go wrong. We love us a good Canadian here on Crunch Time. Let's see what else we got here. Jumping into the Discord. DK single entry. TJ, if you're jamming 4 to 5 Hawks, which bring back is preferred, Zubac or Kawhi, now that he's finally getting some minutes?
Totally fine with either one of them. Probably Kawhi.
Okay.
I also don't think you need a run back, though.
All right. DK cash question, TJ. I'll come to you for this one. It's a 3v3. Giddey, Vooch, Risache, or Nah, AD, and Clax.
Say me? Wow.
No, this is a TJ question. Giddey,
Sorry,
Vooch,
it took me a
Risache.
while to think about it, but yeah, I'd go second one.
Okay. And then Noto coming to you here. DK cash question, similar, really, at least a lot of the same names. Risache, Buzelis, and Vooch, or Carter, AD, and Clax.
I think I would probably go with the first one. I'm guessing that's Wendell Carter or Javon Carter.
I don't know. Let us know, Achilles. TJ, over to you. 2 DK cheap options in a GPP. So your favorite 2 cheapies for a GPP.
Mo Gay, Dennis Jenkins.
Very nice. DK GPP. TJ, I've already got Wiggins. Should I go Tyson or Hawkes?
Should I go Tyson? Hawkes.
Zaka. Well, this just kind of ties in. So TJ, I'll give this to you. Who's our main Miami Heat guys tonight? Your favorite Heat players? Hawkes is certainly one of them.
Yeah, I would go. Could adjust if Larson's out, but I would say Wiggins, then Hawkes, then Ware. No, Wiggins, Ware, Hawkes on DraftKings. Hawkes, Hero, Wiggins on FanDuel.
Okay. Lord King Guru says, hey, Noto, people are sleeping on Klingon tonight, and then in all caps, mark my words. Either of you have any Klingon?
I don't know. Back-to-back, tough matchup on the road. I kind of think this game just turns ugly, but...
Okay.
150 lineups and no Klingon.
Okay. Noto, you want Gay or Risache?
I have both, but Gay if I'm choosing one.
Okay. Is 4 Hawks too many Hawks, Noto?
I have 5 right now on DraftKings.
Hey. So. Okay. Damn, I have like 1 or 2 depending on the lineup. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. TJ, A. Dean says Gafford is playing and more than likely starting. That bodes well for Ware starting, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was thinking too. Is like even if Larson plays, Ware might actually still start. So.
Okay. Powell. Any interest in Powell? Is it? Please don't be Dwight Powell.
If it's the Brooklyn Powell, I have him in like 3% of lineups. If it is the Dwight Powell, absolutely not.
Okay, good. Let's see. Noto. Luke says Sharp, Nemhard, or Porter, last man in. These are all like 6K-ish FanDuel guards. Sharp, Nemhard, Porter. So not Dallas, Nemhard.
Which Porter? Kevin Porter?
I'm not sure. Whichever one is 6K on FanDuel.
That would be Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd go KPJ.
Okay. Noto, I'm coming right back to you here from Simon. It is a 3v3 Hero, MPJ, and Huff, or Bane, Daniels, and Wiggins.
Number 2.
Mm-hmm. TJ, are we getting to any Vit Krejci? Any Krejci?
No.
The Luke Kennard revenge game.
Oh.
Put those into it.
We got a dumpster diver going on here. TJ, help the man out. DK, last piece. He's got 3,100. Caton Wallace, Dalen Terry. Someone else who's 3,100.
He needs a 3,100 player at any position.
I don't think he mentioned a position. Yep. I assume it's the util.
I would go Javon Carter.
Okay. Very good. I want to remind everybody to hit the thumbs up. We still have 7 minutes until lock. We've actually answered, I think, all of the questions. I don't want to leave before lock because who knows? We're still going to get breaking news and all that. So get some questions in. They can certainly be about basketball. They can be about dinner plans, or they can be about amusement parks. TJ, you seem like a guy who likes amusement parks.
Yes and no. I'm not a big rides guy. I'm afraid I like rides, but I'm afraid of heights. So anything that goes too high doesn't really do it for me. But I do love like amusement park food and all the games that you can like. That's basically children's gambling. Love
That's how it started for me.
Yeah, that's
too.
the best
Same
part
here.
of any amusement park, anywhere you go, any fair. If I can pay $1 to try to like I don't know, pop a balloon or whatever the hell it is, I am in on that. That question was at the util, so we're doing good. Children's gambling. It is. I never thought of it that way, but Derek says skee ball is a gateway
I became
game.
a gambling addict at those things, so that's what it is
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. We used to have an arcade that just cost a nickel for all the games. That was a problem growing up.
Yeah, just all day.
Only played the ticket games, you know.
Yeah, and they dangle those prizes in front of you too. You know, they're like, "Oh, just keep playing."
Well, it didn't help that I was like a child, and the first time I ever did one of those, you know how they have the basketball one where it's far away, but the hoop is like inverted.
Yes.
And so it's like it's not a regulation hoop.
Yes.
First time I did that, I drilled it, and so it gave me the itch forever.
Yeah. I need to find this clip, but I was live on air when I was in Dallas reporting on the fair was in town, like the Texas State Fair was in town. And just randomly in the middle of my live hit, the guy was like, or you could play basketball over there. And he's like, you get one shot, you can get any stuffed animal you want. And I had like 15 seconds left in my hit. I was like, give me that rock. Let's make it happen. Dribbled over and just splashed it from so far deep in the BS rim live on TV. It was the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. I will find that clip because man, it was awesome.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. Okay, questions came in. Any love for Orlando players and spend ups that you like in a FanDuel GPP, Noto?
Yeah, I like Desmond Bain a little bit.
Okay.
Probably it though.
Yeah. TJ DK last piece 3,500. Goga or Javonte Green?
Goga.
Okay. Was Roth's boy Nembhard so good last game because Denver's D has been so awful? TJ?
I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say. It's one game. We don't really know yet.
Right. But mostly he got a lot of minutes and he got a lot of usage, and that's all I care about. So I hope that he gets to do that again. Is it flag day? We waving the flag? TJ, are you waving the flag? Noto is. Noto and I are waving the flag.
Always.
I have some flag. Let me double check just exactly how much. I'm playing. Where is this dude? Why can't I find him? I am playing some flag. 12%. So I'll be double the field what we're currently projecting.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Noto, Tina says, I need help. DKGPP. I've got 3,700 at the forward spot. It might be tough. Forward for 3,700 or less. Noto, what do you got?
I like Luke Kennard revenge game, but you could play Drake Powell too.
Okay. Max 1. TJ, Gay and Kennard, is it max 1, assuming one or the other starts?
It's exactly what I did. I did max 1 Gay and Kennard.
Nice. Okay. Very good.
I think you can play two, but only one of them will hit a ceiling performance because I think only one of them can hit their minutes.
Okay. Hammer hitting us with an overlay alert. Anytime I do this, it ends up not being overlay. I'm like, so I don't know if I should try to find this, but apparently Hammer says on the $5.
I mean, there's a $5 tournament with 100K to first, Roth. So you better enter that one again because if you have the nuts again and you didn't do a $5 100K to first, you're gonna be pissed.
Dude, thank you. I appreciate that.
Should I usually don't do my 150 stuff in big tournaments like that. Maybe I should.
I feel like we gotta here. Now I'm the real choice, figuring out which. Oh, I got to go with my boy Abdia. Jaime Jaquez, don't let me down, bud. Done. All right, I'm in. All right. Let's see. Did miss some questions in that time. Let me scroll back up real quick. FanDuel, Noto, you want Nah or Mikal Bridges?
No.
Paul says, do you guys like air hockey? I love it in amusement. I hate air hockey. I'm not good at it, and I do not like it. Noto, you an air hockey guy?
You're just competitive at everything, so if you're not
Ellie
good at it,
Larson
I don't
available to play, so don't expect any heat bumps today.
Okay. You air hockey guy, Noto?
I'll play with the kids, but not like seriously.
Yeah. You ever play bubble hockey?
No.
TJ, you know what I'm talking about? Bubble hockey? It's like foosball, but it's hockey players, and that's in like the little clear bubble. That is a fun ass game. Love me some bubble hockey. TJ, Jokic or is this a real question? Jokic or Claxton on FanDuel Cash?
It's Claxton.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, you're not leaving $7,000 on the table, but like Claxton's the person to build around from a point per dollar standpoint.
Yeah. Since Giannis wants out, do they punish him by making him play all 48 minutes tonight? Probably not, but I like where your head's at. TJ, DK GPP forward 6K or less.
I had Asumu.
I missed questions in the Discord. My bad. Porter or Leonard, Noto, FanDuel GPP.
Ooh, I like both, but I'll go with MPJ.
Noto, Mobley and Jenkins or Clowney and Vooch, DK single entry.
Man, I love the second two are like my dudes tonight, so I'll go with number 2.
Okay. TJ, your favorite center in a FanDuel GPP?
Sorry, was just seeing if I wanted to enter that contest, and I did not get them in because it started. But Onyeka Kongu.
Okay. Shout out to my guy Tasteful Tides, who also loves bubble hockey. Yep, you are wise. That game is awesome. Hey, did the news of the Miami guy Pele being in remove Jaquez from your player pools?
No, not at all.
No. Okay.
Larson was projected as in, and so we've been all these Miami plays. They would be better than what we had been talking about if Larson was out, but as of right now, like they're all still good.
Yeah. Okay. Did get some questions that came in before lock in the Discord. I want to answer those in case they're still relevant. Noto, Blink has been playing forwards against Cleveland most of the season, and they've been doing really well. Is $6,100 Jeremy Grant too much salary to lock up at small forward on a DK tournament?
Large field, I guess he's all right. I don't have any, but yeah, he's shown some upside recently.
Okay. Noto, Sean says FanDuel GPP, KPJ or Nah?
Nah.
TJ, DK GPP, AD and Luke Kennard, that is, or Buzelis and Wiggins?
AD and Luke Kennard.
First one by a lot. It's the first one. Nah or Kevin Porter, TJ, is a FanDuel GPP.
Yeah, that contest ended up 8,000 people short, so should have tried to get in there a little bit quicker. I tried to click it like with 6 seconds left, and it didn't let me do it. But what was the question? Sorry.
It was Nah or Kevin Porter on FanDuel in a GPP.
Kevin Porter Jr.
Okay, very good. Very, very good. Gentlemen, we have hit the lock. We have answered the questions, and I think it is time to clear on out. Watch us a full night of basketball. I'm looking forward to it. For Noto, for TJ, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.